Hello everyone, let's get on to video number 2. This is going to be the second video that goes over this VHS concept. So in the first video we went over this Sony concept jacket, how it started, making these lines, applying the same material function to get this logo plus these text fonts to animate a certain way. And today we'll be going over how I did the other two jackets, the Hexel and the Codec, and probably also talk about the VHS tape, but that actually came last. Um, so that'll be where we probably ended today and then go into the materials. So let's get started. We'll kick it off. We'll open up the next material that I made. So the next material was the Maxell or the Hexel cover. Like the last material, just ignore this top section. It doesn't really matter. It's not worth going over. But this is essentially the entire action here. Again, is that same material function, the displacement. So if I were to plug in this here, you can see, aside from the border, everything looks pretty normal, pretty basic, nothing fancy. All the visual effects, again, are handled in that material function. And the material is quite simple. I'm making a pattern. So I'm multiplying my UVs by 2 numbers, because I guess I was working it out. So this essentially turns into kind of like the gradient lines that you want. We run them through a step. I subtract and absolute them so that I have the gradients starting from the inside going out to the edge. So it starts at 1 and goes to 0. And therefore, when I step it, I have nice even things and the lines are going to be centered. I take this and I run this through stepped gradients, right? So I'm making a nice stepped gradient, and then I can run that through my curve atlas, which my curve is exactly this. At 0.05 I have the green, and then everywhere else I just have the red and the blue color. So easy peasy. Now we can see I'm also making a mask here to isolate just the middle section. And then I can mask out just those 3 lines instead of the entire screen of lines. You combine that with the colors, and we have this going on. So that is essentially this. Then we've got the border function again. This is just rendering a distance field box border. So let's just run through this function. Again, it has the displacement going on here. We'll preview this on the plane. We've got our distance field box. We've got a border roundness for like how round the shape is, how thick we want the stroke, the border offset to the shape. Bunch of stuff in here, taking a bunch of fun things, screen aligned, textures, applying them to the distance field texture, running that through more noise. That's again screen aligned, so if you are animating a lot of these at once without different offsets for time, you would see the same repeating texture and pattern. And I see this a lot with UI, is that they'll have cool effects, but when you put lots of UI elements on screen, you can notice the pattern between them all because they all animate at exactly the same time with exactly the same texture. Using screen-aligned UVs here helps add more to the random on top of the other random that I'm using everywhere else. For instance, you know, the step time is different in this animation than it is for the other cover material. The other cover step time is at 2. So if I were to put this at 10, it's going to animate this at 10 frames per second. But this is going to be 3 frames per second. So offsetting all this kind of stuff is just a way to make the work appear more random as it's animating together. That's basically that. And then this creates my little mask for when I need to mask out the VHS tape, not important. And then this helps show you my workflow process. So this is the desaturation function. And oftentimes I will make in one material the concept and then turn it into the function and use it in all the other materials. So if we open up the Sony cover material, that exact same set here turned into this function that then I used everywhere else. And so I just haven't gone back and had time to convert this to the function, but I could do that right now. Let me just copy pasta. And plug this in, plug that as the results, and voila, exactly the same thing. So you can see a bit of my process, a bit what I start is I start to build it in one material. If I end up reusing it, then I convert it into a function and we roll from there. So that's all it took to make that. So let's open up the widget. Let's take a look at what that actually turned into. And that just basically makes this 3 lines thing with the border. It's got, again, that cutout. That's the whole top section. Again, not that important. I might cover it in a later video. And the last thing to make is this sticker. So, making the sticker element, that was super easy. It's this material instance. You can see it in action here. And this sticker is super simple. It has the desaturate, but barely desaturates anything because there's not a lot of color here. And all it uses is that outline border. It uses it twice. One is to be the outer part of the sticker. One is to be the white part of the sticker. So kind of like one's the VHS and one's the sticker on top of the VHS kind of look and feel here. And that is it. That is all that is to these materials. So let's go into the more challenging one. The codec. You can see I did quite a few versions of this one, etc. So in the codec one, again, forget the top. Top doesn't matter. This one here has a bit of stuff to it. Again, at different step times, so everything animates differently. A different step time offset, so it will animate the step time at a different offset value. And different displacement amount of how intense the displacement is. So all of these being random. Now all I'm making here is a angle. So I'm essentially just creating a nice little rotated angle. I have my own easing curve I'm applying to it, but just making a non-linear gradient. And multiply it by 20. So that I get 20 instances of it. After a floor, I can have a hard line. And a frac, which I can have a lovely intense line. Then I can divide my floor to get stepped. So this is a stepped gradient. I can turn it into some other fun things here, like I'm using that to what was I using it for? Up here, I believe. To create this offset value up here. So up here, we're cutting out the top corner of the, if I show the border, we're cutting out the top corner of the codec. We're combining that with a little frac that we do down here. That's going to turn into these. So I run this through a step and we've got now a nice gradation of lines. I multiply that to then crop out that mask section there. And then I subtract this other section here, which is going to subtract that bottom section. And now I have a nice little segment of diagonals that I can use for various things. So the very first colors I set up are my dark gray background and the orange intensity. And then I layer that with this gold foil version that I use. So taking different values of my step here and I subtract them, and we can get our lovely like little lines across here. So one's thick and then it keeps thinning out as it goes on. I can essentially just turn that into on top of the gold here, apply that to my little lerping mask here, and now we have our perfect little segmented lines. And that's that. Clean work. We add ourselves the same outline border. This again is that exact same mask that will mask out the little VHS cutout. And that desaturation node right there. So desaturate on mouse and hover. So going back, you can run this, and you can see that desaturation and saturation happening on the interactivity. I don't know if I need it. I could always go in and turn it off too, but it's a fun thing. So that basically made this cover. And then I have my stickers. So the sticker is also something else entirely to the cover. This is sort of like the Codec VHS sticker, looked a lot like this. So that's the other parts that I need to make in the material. Let us go back to the materials. The sticker. So this is the sticker, but let's open up the instance just to see it in action. You can kind of see its intensity here. Using the same, kind of the same math as I did before, which I could have then turned this into a function if I wanted to. And I think I just had less. I made the lines a little bit tighter. Oh, and I made less of them. I had 5 instead of 20. I had 20 lines in the original codec. So yeah, I created 20, and instead in this version, I made 5. And that makes us a little corner. See, I didn't need this as much of this stuff. We have our little outline border again. So this is going to create just a mask. And we're going to create it to this initial border right here. So this is going to be our initial shape. I'm going to combine that with our gray, and the dark color is the other color. And I combine that with the yellow, and we've got ourselves the yellow here. Then you combine that with the outline border that then is going to be there, and that is the sticker cover. So going to the codec jacket, let's open up that widget. Here it is. Now, what I like to use a lot in my work is event preconstruct, and using design time to make myself little design compatible visuals. Ignore this. This is fine. So that I can see what it looks like in various states it will be in without actually needing to run Pi or set all of that together. So when it's set to this one, it's going to show it closed, and when it's set to the open one, it's going to show the jacket open. So that's the jacket open. This, I think, is the jacket closed. Maybe I have them reversed in name. Nope. Well, it's all good. We can see it here. So this is the sticker. So yeah, the original, when you play the animation open, it actually fixes kind of the border. But we could see it in action here. We could go boop, boop, boop. So it's going to play this animation, and the VHS pops out. Even more so in the play. So that is that concept. And let's go over the last material here. The rest of these are just the same idea, just turning into individual jacket shapes or more stickers. I created a bunch more sticker materials that are just the same concept as the Hexel sticker. So that's all that's happening there. So let's go over the last material, which is the VHS tape. The last major, I guess, material. Whee! Okay, it's so squat. It's so cute when it's oddly disproportional. Disproportional to its needs. Now this thing is a fascinating material. It's all math generated, but I didn't really care to make it super proportional. So I could have it always scale to the right proportion, but I enjoy messing with this more than I wanted to keep it proportional. This is, I guess, the more meatier math, if you're gonna get into that, but I'll do a quick summary of it here. There's a pattern that is creating our dots, so these are our circles. And that's the circle UVs, and then where's the circle math? Goodness gracious, where is my circle math? It's right here. Oh yeah, so that's creating the one of the disc circles, the tapes. This one is, I think, going to create the other circle tape. Yep. I combine them together. And they're all based on like an offset that is similar to each other. And I combine it with another shape that I have in the middle here. So this is just a box being drawn on the top corner. This is a box being drawn, or I guess that was the bottom corner. This is the top corner. Combine those together with a bunch of sign distance field math and the middle box. And now we have our 3 boxes for the VHS cassette tape. All of this is just using displacement UVs. And what else do we have here? We have the outer box. I labeled that one. Good on me. Let's see what our max is. Oh, we're not gonna see it because it's kind of at the very tip. And I made this little clip. This one's kind of hard to see here, but the VHS tape has that little flap area where the tape comes in. So I created that all along here. That's essentially combining a couple gradients at the top and the bottom, subtract it from our outer box, and this is where our inner boxes are. And so now I've created an area that is the, and I rounded, I believe that's why I subtracted a certain amount so it gets thicker. And that turns into our lerp, along with the dots. I had a lot of dots here, dots SDF. So I created a bunch of dots in the pattern, and that's essentially what this is doing. There's a mask here that is saying all the white area is going to be this gray, and all the black is going to be this dark color. And where are the dots? Where did I put the dots? Yeah, here are the dots. So here are just some SDF dots. Just a pattern of them. Whee! This is to maintain aspect ratio, so it's 100 by 100. Maintains the perfect size of the dots no matter what my scale is here. So the dots will always still be the same size, but they'll space out differently depending on the size of this. And yeah, and here was just making all those crazy circles. So this creates the circles to our lovely three squares. You combine that with the lerp here. And that's how you make something as crazy as this with math. Just distance field math. This is a box, a box, a box, an outer box, some gradients. This is a circle and a circle, and lots of circles. It's like vector Illustrator Figma drawing, but with math. Yay! And again, if I were to swap out the UVs here without displacement UVs, just none of this would animate and it wouldn't look as interesting. I'm scared to do it because I'm pretty sure I'll crash Unreal every time that I try to move this. Doesn't seem to like it. But you can imagine what it looks like. So that was the last bit there. So the next video, I'll get into the widgets, how I made them, go into the structure, what I reused, what I didn't reuse, and the most interesting here is this one is getting this VHS tape to pop out and take up layout space, which is always fun. And you could also see it like disproportionately scale out here. Whee! Isn't that fun? Anyway, we'll end it on this. But hope you folks enjoyed, and we'll see when I create video 3, but that'll go over the widget structure and how to get all this animating. Cheers, everyone, and hope you have a fantastic day.